Hello everyone, my name is Netter. Welcome to my first HTML tutorial. Well, I'll be just covering the basics and how to set up your HTML files. Here you can see I set up the file locally here on my computer, but you can also set it up on a server, and I recommend you set it up on a server if you plan on using it as a website. But for just learning right now, you can use it also just on your computer. And some great servers I would recommend are HostGator and maybe even GoDaddy. But HostGator's great. You can use them and run a server there, and you're going to want to get a domain name so you can actually access your site. For editors for HTML, so that you can actually write the code, I would recommend Text Wrangler just for Mac, but you can also use any old text editor such as TextEdit or Notepad or Notepad++ for your coding needs. And to open up a file, you just want to open a new file in any text editor and then save it to the location in which you want it to be saved. Here I saved the file to a folder on my computer called website, and I called it index.html. The reason you would call an HTML file index is so that when it is on a server, the server would automatically recognize it as the sort of like the automatic location, the automatic destination of a user when the user is visiting that directory, so that file will open first. When the file is located on your computer itself, you just want to, in order to open it in a browser, you just open with and then a certain browser. And here you can see it's open with just a normal local trail. In this case, I will be just using my Text Wrangler and my server to do this, so this will not matter, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do it locally so that in case you wanted to write the code on the computer, that's fine then too. But here on my Text Wrangler FTP file transfer protocol, I'll be opening a new file, calling it index.html, and create. It opens the file automatically for me, which is great. And now we can actually start to write the language. Okay, so just some definitions. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, which is essentially your design and structure language for a website, so that when it's located on a server and a user requests that file, the file is sent back, and the browser of the user interprets the code to create the look of the web page. In order to identify a document as HTML, you're going to write your first tag, and I'll explain what tags are in just a second. Within this tag, you're going to write doc type HTML. A tag is the opening and closing, sometimes closing, but always opening, of an element within HTML. Now, some notable elements are just the HTML element itself, your head element and your body element, your text element, which is notified with the P tag, and your header element, which is notified with the H tag. The first set of opening and closing tags that we will be writing are your HTML element, which look a little bit like this. You'll notice a theme here. Every tag is opened and closed with these less than and greater than symbols. Within the HTML element, we're going to write our other elements. The head element, and the body element. You'll notice that by opening and closing our elements, what you're doing is, for the opening, it's just the symbols and then the name of the tag in between them. And for the closing, you have slash and then the name of the element. And this is useful in structure. Something that some people do when they're writing HTML code is they indent. So when you're inside of an opening and closing tag, and only in that situation, everything inside is indented. I don't usually do this because it becomes slightly complicated when I write functionality code like PHP and then have to indent the PHP and the HTML. It starts looking a little strange. And usually, when you're writing those kinds of object-oriented PHP codes, it becomes confusing because the HTML codes themselves aren't as long as they would be if the HTML was just one long, continuous body. And in this case, since we're not getting into PHP yet, that is the case. So we may want to start with indenting, and you can do that too. Now within our head element, we're going to write some more elements. A notable element that is located within the head element at all times is your title element, which is just notified with the title tags. Inside there, you may have guessed, you just write the title of the page. Usually nothing else other than just plain text. So like first HTML doc. Some other notable elements in your head are your script element, and your style element, with the script tags and the style tags. And I'll get into what those do later. Inside of your body element is essentially the content of the web page. And we'll get into kind of the tags and elements that are required for more in-depth stuff within the body element later. But for now, just to kind of show you how this works, just write some random text in there with a period to make it super organized. And then we're just going to do, as you do with any other document, you just save the document, and in the case that you have it connected to your FTP, it'll just save it to the server automatically. And now you can see that if we open the file, and I have it stored on a domain, so I'm going to write in that domain. websites/index.html. You can see that it gave our document the title that we wrote in through the HTML and the same content that we wrote in the body tag. these are the basics of HTML. I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.